So polymerase chain reaction is an in vitro technique or amplification of a region of DNA, desired region of DNA, whose sequence is known or which lies in between two regions of known sequences. Before PCR, DNA of interest should be known, and it should be amplified by overexpression in cells, and this will lead the result. Okay. In 1966, Thomas Brooke discovers Thermus aquaticus, a thermostable bacteria in the hot springs of Yellowstone National Park. This was basically used to yield enzyme, which is Tec polymerase, which is being used for DNA amplification, for PCR reaction, basically. In 1983, Carey Mules postulated the concept of PCR, and he won a Nobel Prize in 1993. In 1985, Psyche publishes the first application of PCR, which is using beta globulin. And in 1985, these all are basically the major milestones that are being achieved, major milestones that different scientists have achieved in the field of PCR. Now, technical overview. The DNA consists of 4 elements. A stands for adenine, C is cytosine, G is guanine, and T is thymidine. In case of RNA, there is another amino acid that is incorporated, that is uracil. But in case of DNA, in place of uracil, there is thymidine. The DNA molecule consists of a double strand of DNA bound together by chemical forces. Exception is single strand DNA or RNA viruses, because they have only single strands, so they are not bound by chemical forces. A double-stranded DNA would read like this: A is always paired with T, that is, adenine is always paired with thymidine, as you can see, and G is always paired with C. Guanine is always paired with cytosine. Now the reaction components. It comprises of a DNA template which bears the desired DNA sequence that has to be amplified, primer probes, enzyme, deoxynucleotide triphosphates, magnesium ions, and buffer. Now this is the DNA template, the desired DNA template bearing the region that has to be either sequenced or amplified. The primers, there are 2 sets of primers for the 2 sets of 2 strands of DNA. Each primer binds to that particular strand, and primer basically has sequence. It is 20-30 nucleotide long sequence which has complementary site, which has complementary amino acids which can bind to the DNA. The primer is an oligonucleotide sequence, will target a specific sequence of opposite base pairing. A will bind to T and G will bind to C of single-stranded nucleic acids. They are synthetically produced complementary to the 3' ends of DNA, not complementary to each other. They contain not contain inverted repetitive sequence to avoid formation of internal structures. The higher the concentration of GC component, the higher will be the binding or the annealing, because GC are bound together by triple hydrogen bonds as compared to A or T, which binds together through 2 hydrogen bonds or double hydrogen bonds. Now the primer specificity, they are universal. They amplifies all bacterial DNA. It can be a universal which amplifies all bacterial DNA, group specific which amplify only certain sequences, and specific which amplify only a desired sequence. So most commonly the primer sequences which we use are specific sequences, because they amplify only the desired segment of DNA. This is the probe. Probe is basically a oligonucleotide sequence which has a quencher and a reporter dye and a quencher dye. These two are bound together so closely placed that the reporter dye cannot express itself. It contains fluorescence, which will be used for detection in PCR. But what happens is, because of the close proximity of the reporter dye and the quencher dye, the reporter dye is not able to emit the fluorescence. This probe binds proximally to the binds distally to the DNA segment, and when the process of amplification of DNA amplification occurs, what will happen is the DNA polymerase will gradually release the reporter dye, and the reporter and the quencher dye will get separated. So now reporter dye can express the fluorescence, and that is how we detect. Third is the enzyme. This is usually we use Tec polymerase or any other natural or recombinant thermostable polymerase. This it is stable at T0 up to 95 degrees Celsius. It has high processivity, and TecPol has 5 to 3' exonuclease activity only. The side effect of using thermonuclease Tec polymerase is that it has no proofreading activity. Then deoxynucleotide triphosphates. These are the building blocks of the new DNA strands, and it includes various amino acids that I already told you. Uracil is present in RNA, whereas in place of uracil, thymidine will be present in DNA. The role of the magnesium and buffer is to provide appropriate environment for the PCR, for the amplification process basically. Now PCR cycle comprises of 3 steps. First is the denaturation, that is separation of the DNA strands. That happens at 95 degrees Celsius. Now the 2 strands are separated. The primer there are 2 sets of primer which will bind each strand. The primer hybridization occurs at 40 to 50 degrees Celsius, and then the process of DNA amplification occurs by the help of Tec polymerase, which occurs at 72 degrees Celsius. This is the first step, in which, as you can see in the figure, the DNA segments are separated, the DNA template is separated, and we have 2 strands of DNA. Then in second, the temperature is lowered so that the primers can bind to the complementary sites on the single strands of DNA. Then the action of Tec polymerase, which help in extension. This step is called extension, and the DNA segment, complement DNA segment, are being formed by the help of complementary nucleotides that are being incorporated into the corresponding strand. The end result of the PCR cycle is that you get 2 copies of DNA. That is, 1 copy will produce 2 copies of DNA. So what we do in PCR is that if we have 1 copy, one initial copy, then we'll get 2 copies. If we have 2, then we'll get 4. 3 will get 8 copies. 4 will get 16, and so on and so on. This is again a highlight of what happens. In this, you can see in the first step, there is denaturation, that is separation of the 2 DNA strands. Now they are single-stranded DNA. Primer will come and bind to it in the second strand, which is called as annealing. And after that, there will be extension. That is, the DNA polymerase will act on it, and the nucleotide and the DNTPs will bind to it. So the whole DNA, whole complementary strand, DNA strand, will be formed. This is a standard thermocycle. In the first step, which is at 95 degrees Celsius, we denature the template. At the second step, then there's annealing of the primer, and third step would be primer extension. And then there's repetition of these 3 processes for as number of cycles you want. Okay, then this is the basic principle of PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Then we move to a variety of it. Normally, there are a lot of different type of PCR. It could be nested PCR, multiplex PCR, RT-PCR, real-time PCR. So we will be concerned only about RT-PCR and then real-time RT-PCR, because that is a technique that we are using for diagnosis of COVID-19. So in RT-PCR, we use RNA as a template. RT stands for reverse transcriptase. Reverse transcriptase is an enzyme which is used for conversion of RNA into a DNA. For PCR, the initial thing that you need for replication is DNA. You cannot amplify RNA. So from DNA, from RNA, you have to first form a copy of DNA, and then only that you can amplify it. So it uses RNA as the initial template, and then there is an RNA-directed DNA polymerase which yields complementary DNA, and then that could be amplified. In this, the primer anneals to the target RNA sequence. There is formation of complementary strand of DNA by the activity of reverse transcriptase DNA reverse or Tec polymerase enzyme that is helping in adding up the nucleotides to the template RNA sequence. The end result would be that you get a RNA DNA strand. So the Tec polymerase which we use for RNA has three properties. It has RNA dependent DNA polymerase, then it has exonuclease activity, and then third would be DNA dependent DNA polymerase. So what will happen in the first step is that you use RNA as a template. The primers will add to it. Then by the action of Tec polymerase, you'll get a RNA complementary DNA strand. Then by the action of this enzyme only, the RNA copy will be released. You'll get a DNA strand, which is a complementary DNA strand, and another DNA strand will be formed on it. So you'll get a double-stranded DNA, which will again be separated by the at higher temperature, 95 degrees Celsius, and then this DNA strand basically gets incorporated into the PCR cycle. Now, how will it detect the amplification products? It is by real-time PCR, RT-PCR, gel electrophoresis, sequencing of the amplified fragment, or Southern blotting. We'll be discussing real-time RT-PCR in detail. Gel electrophoresis, basically what happens is that the end products are placed on a gel, and electrophoresis is being basically two electrodes are placed at the ends of it. So the higher the mass, the lesser the movement of the fragment would be. So basically, it will depend on the size of the mass, size of the nucleic acid. In sequencing of the amplified fragment, you know how it is sequenced. In Southern blotting, it is again a technique of in which you separate the different, you identify the different DNA molecules, different size of the DNA molecule. In real-time PCR, real-time RT-PCR, it allows a continuous monitoring of the DNA produced in each cycle by using fluorophore dyes. The fluorescence is released every time a new DNA copy is synthesized, and therefore the amount of fluorescence is proportional to the quantity of DNA that is being produced. Furthermore, real-time RT-PCR systems provide higher sensitivity and robustness with the additional possibility to quantify the initial amount of target DNA, RNA present in the sample. The difference between RT-PCR and real-time RT-PCR is that at every step you will get a fluorescence. You will analyze what is the total amount of DNA that is being present. So it is basically the RT-PCR. In RT-PCR, what happens is it is a qualitative technique. You will get the final result whether it is positive or negative. In real-time RT-PCR, what happens is that you are assessing after each cycle, so you can actually quantify it. So it is a quantitative technique rather than a qualitative technique, which was RT-PCR. This is how a graph of RT-PCR looks like. The first stage is the stage in which there is, although there are number of copies is present, that DNA is being amplified in each cycle. Acha, first I'll tell you what this graph indicates. On the y-axis there is fluorescence. On the x-axis it is a number of cycles. So as you can see, at 4 cycles, 6 cycles, there must be some replication going on, but the fluorescence is so minimal. As the number of copies is less, the fluorescence is so minimal that it cannot be. The machine is unable to detect it, and what happens is after certain cycles, suddenly the fluorescence rises because the number of copies of DNA have increased to certain level, minimum level, above which the machine can detect it, and then the fluorescence rises, as you can see from the second stage, which is the exponential phase. After that, what happens in the plateau phase is third stage, all the nutrients, all the DNTTPs and magnesium ion and everything which is present in the master mix is being utilized. So you get a plateau phase because of resource limitation. Now applications, the most important most important is diagnostics as of now, because it is used in diagnosis of COVID-19, viral infections, then prenatal testing of genetic diseases, and early detection of cancers. It can also be used for genome mapping and gene function determination. Then it can then biodiversity studies, detection of drug-resistant genes, and in forensic DNA fingerprinting. Advantages: it is automated, fast, reliable, and reproducible results are being obtained. The chance of contamination is less. It has high output. It is sensitive and is defined, which is it has easy protocols and can be performed easily. Now the disadvantages are that it needs high-tech equipments. Tech polymerase, the enzyme which is used for multiplication or the amplification of the DNA strands, is expensive. Chances of contamination is there. If a sample is contaminated, then it will give false result, because even if there is small contamination, it will be amplified. So it will give false positive results. The false reaction can be seen, and internal control it has to be used to detect whether the results are whether you can accept the results, or the run has been performed properly or not. The cycling conditions, everything has been performed properly or not, and then there could be chances of cross reaction. Now the restrictions of the PCR is contamination of reagents or lab results in false positive results. Failure due to mistake in the protocol can result in false results, and different material parts of a sample can inhibit the PCR process. What happens in certain reactions? There are certain inhibitors which inhibit the PCR process. So even if the sample is positive, you'll get a false negative result, or the graphs will not be of sigmoid appearance, like I have already shown it to you. They will not be of sigmoid pattern. Okay. So what happens in PCR? What happens in COVID-19 PCR? That you get a sample which is nasopharyngeal swab and oropharyngeal swab. The samples are collected and transported to the laboratory in a VTM, which is viral transport media. It basically helps in preservation of the virus. And after receiving into the laboratory, the sample undergoes extraction. That is, you try to obtain the genetic material of the virus. Along with that, it basically helps in extraction of all the cells. You will get genetic material of the virus as well as the normal human cells. Then after that extraction, you put a PCR run. You add master mix. That is the composition of master mix. I've already told it before. It contains basically all the things necessary for amplification. After that, you analyze the results. The benefit. This is basically how it is done. Okay, the collection of the nasopharyngeal swab and the oropharyngeal swab, then the extraction is done. After extraction, you get the desired DNA or RNA, whatever it is. In case of COVID-19, this single-stranded RNA that you get. Then you put PCR for it, which is polymerase chain reaction, as I've already told, and then you analyze the results. Any doubt, anyone? कोई इंटरेस्टेड था लेक्चर में आज? Okay, thank you. अभिषेक कुमार। रोल नंबर 11। अभिषेक रावत।